From Mamma Mia, welcome to The Spill, your daily pop culture fix. I'm Laura Brodnick.
And I'm Ksenia Lukic.
And coming up on the show today, Taylor Swift has released the first trailer for her new Docu-Series, and we have combed through it to find a bunch of hidden details about her life after the show, her relationship to Travis Kelce, so many little details we're going to get into. Plus, we're going to talk about those Katy Perry and Justin Trudeau photos and how it's a bit of a strategic move from Katy Perry. So we're going to get into that, but first...
The new creative director of Balenciaga has revealed how Meghan Markle was invited to his show in Paris earlier this month. Now, Pierpaolo Piccioli, I had to practice saying that a couple of times. Great name, by the way. He said that Meghan Markle actually reached out to him and asked to come to the show. Now, a number of reports were saying that, you know, she just invited herself. And I think that's a little bit unfair, to be honest, because when I actually click into the article and see what he said, it's not quite as like, you know, she just rocked up to the door and started knocking and saying, "Can I come in?"
Yeah.
So apparently her and Pierpaolo have been friends for a while. They've been texting for a while. And apparently she messaged him and said, she'd love to come to the show. There was no strategy or big orchestration. I didn't tell anyone she was coming because I wanted it to stay a surprise. So obviously they're mates, and he's kind of said, oh, yes, of course, come along. Now, the reason that I buy this and that I don't think it's some like her sort of trying to get her way into the fashion set is because the way that fashion PR works is that they invite different people every season. Obviously, you've got your staples, you've got like your Anna Wintours, but then each year they'll invite different influencers or celebrities or whatever. But Meghan Markle's not really a part of that Fashion Week circuit. So I feel like it's not crazy to think that they wouldn't just assume to invite her. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And if you just read the headlines, it does look like she demanded to be included and that she pushed herself into an environment that she wasn't wanted. And a lot of that comes off all the reports around her behavior at Fashion Week, which we touched on briefly the other day in our little wrap up of which celebrities were there. But there was a lot of negative press around how she walked out of a show, that it looked like she was slowing down and sort of doing this very kind of model-esque walk for photographers, which is what a lot of people do at Fashion Week, because the whole point of a designer giving you an outfit to wear and you going to a show is for you to show your support and show off the outfit. If you're someone like Meghan Markle, if you're another celebrity, it could be to get headlines. There's so many different things, but it's just because any negative headline about Meghan Markle just clicks so well. And so this idea that she was pushing her way into Fashion Week has gone on every single website because everyone would be getting crazy clicks from it. And it comes off the back of like Chrissy Teigen talking about being on her With Love Meghan Netflix show and just saying she's so polarizing, and I can't put my finger on why. Obviously we know why, because it comes off the whole her and Harry getting married. And even back then, do you remember when they first got married, Harry and Meghan, and every article that was written and every story that was told was like, she's worn the wrong nail polish, she's worn the wrong stockings, she's going against public. And a lot of them were done kind of in like an innocent way, but it's because that's the only thing people click on.
Exactly. And I'm not a Meghan apologist. I'm not crazy about her, but in this instance, I do think the headline was really unfair because of the way that this invite system works. It just doesn't seem fair. And also the way that she walked out, where she was kind of like, it was quite graceful. I thought she looked really beautiful. It did feel contrived. However, if you've ever been to a Fashion Week, you should see the peacocking, like the peacocking that goes on at every single Fashion Week. She was like chill compared to half the influencers and people that actually attend these shows, other shows.
Exactly. And with the designer's comments, like it does, again, if you're just looking at the TikToks people have made or the headlines, it does look like he was almost throwing her under the bus. But when you read the full context, it's more like he was saying like, I have a relationship with her and she came to support me. Like it's supposed to be kind of like a nice retelling of the story. Yeah. But obviously this idea of her being a drama queen at Fashion Week is much more interesting. Yeah. And I get that. I mean, that's definitely the story I would rather read, is her being a drama queen at Fashion Week, but I just don't think the evidence adds up here.
I totally agree with you. And I kind of feel bad for him because this is his first season as the creative director of Balenciaga. But, you know, it did seem very, if you read the quotes, it's very innocent. And the way that everybody like twisted it around. But yeah, this is one of the times where I will stand up for her and say, I don't think she deserved this. Like, nasty headline, even though it is more interesting to read. But yeah, that's our little update on the Balenciaga drama. Okay, so everybody is very excited because Taylor Swift announced on GMA yesterday that she is going to be releasing a 6-part docu-series on Disney Plus about the Eras Tour. Now, Laura, you've done a massive deep dive on this and we're going to get into some details, right?
Yes. So out of all the big announcements that Taylor Swift has teased lately, this is the one that fans were pretty sure they knew exactly what it was going to be, and all their hunches turned out to be correct, that it was the Eras Tour documentary. Like, thank goodness, because after sitting through the Life of a Showgirl launch in the cinema, which was exactly what she promised fans, it was just lyric videos on the screen. But anytime there was a little hint of her behind the scenes antics or planning, I was like, I just want to watch hours of this. I just want to see her putting it all together. And that's exactly what we're getting, because we've got the first 2 episodes and the final Eras Tour concert movie being released on December 12. And then the next 2 episodes will come on December 19. And then the last 2 episodes will drop on December 26 if anyone would like to avoid their family and loved ones on that day.
Boxing Day.
Sit down with Taylor Swift. So that is very exciting.
Forget watching the yacht race. You got to sit and watch the Taylor.
I mean, I can't say I've ever watched a yacht race. That's more of an Emily in Paris day for me, but sure. Lots to choose from at that time of year. So yes, we wanted to go through a few of the little hidden details that we've picked up from watching the documentary trailer. The documentary trailer, I should say, is just a few minutes, but I was pausing quite a lot and trying to zoom in. My very kind of amateur detective skills were at work. So we see the first shot at the top of the documentary in Glendale, Arizona, and that's one of the very first concerts that she did at the start of the Eras Tour. So that is when they started filming footage for this. They've been filming for over 2 years, which again, like, you would often see the camera crew, especially in the later stages of the Eras Tour, like right on stage with her. So everyone knew they were probably getting content for a documentary, but it just goes to show that they've had this kind of mapped out since that very first Eras Tour. At the top of the documentary, you see a super quick flash of a wall of Post-it. So you have to pause it and kind of zoom in. And it's where she's kind of planning out the songs for all the different performances. So if you go in real close, you'll see that one column is all the Post-its are songs from her first album. So you can see how she's mapping out which songs were going to be in the Eras Tour set list, especially for the first year. So we had from her first album, A Place in This World, Cold as You Are, The Outside, Tied Together with a Smile. And then you can kind of see how she's mapping out and using like really old school Post-its to sort of plan which songs she's going to pick out of each album. So you can see then that she goes down and has her different, the songs she's picked out from Fearless, the songs she's picked out from Speak Now, the songs she's picked out from Red. And I love that even like the biggest tour in the world, the biggest artist in the world still has to use Post-its, kind of visualize what the set list is going to look like.
Yeah, I feel like as well, this is going to be so interesting because there's something about this particular tour that was quite revolutionary in the way that it was presented to the world and the way that it just like took over social media and the way that everybody knew, particularly as the tour progressed, everybody knew about like what was coming next, where was the hat going to be, what color was it going to be when she dove under the water. Like everybody knew what was coming and it built all of this excitement for the show. So it's going to be really great to see how that all came together.
Yes.
Okay, what else have you spotted? Because that's good. I like that one.
So there's a few shots of her working out in a gym, which is interesting because she has talked a little bit about how she got physically prepared for the Eras Tour. And part of that was singing through the whole set list while running on a treadmill.
Wow.
So 3 hours straight of being on a treadmill, which I guess is what you'd have to do to perform for 3 hours. So she said previously that for the fast song she runs and then for the slower song she slows down to a walk. This gym that she's filming in for the Eras Tour documentary looks to be the gym DogPound in New York.
Oh,
and then this shot she's wearing like, oh, you've worked out there?
I haven't worked out there.
But you know of it.
I know of it.
It's interesting that she doesn't, that she has a gym that she goes to as well, that she doesn't have in that like New York mansion or like her Rhode Island mansion or her LA mansion or any of her many, many mansions, that she prefers going to a gym than a home gym.
I kind of get that though, because sometimes I like the community of being in like a gym space rather than like working out alone because I've got no desire to do it by myself. myself.
I don't know if she's on the gym floor with the regular punters. I don't know if you look.
She's probably got a private room.
I know she definitely was back in the day, like for her first few albums, but I don't know for the Eras tour. But, you know, it's an interesting little takeaway if that's where she is.
I remember in one of the earlier, did she do an earlier documentary which was talking about how she was having some problems in the earlier tours because she wasn't eating enough and she was like getting really weak, and this is kind of when she started talking about her eating disorder and some of the problems with food that she had, and that she just wasn't able to fuel her body properly to like withstand the length of a tour.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's why the physical prep goes into it. That's like anyone who does a stadium tour for multiple hours over multiple nights, like the fitness and health that you need for that. It's why I always thought it was interesting that people would like rubbish like Lizzo for being unfit or that kind of thing. And it's like you try and dance and sing on stage for 3 hours. Like the core fitness you would need is crazy. We also see in some of the shots where she's walking around like the stadium in Miami and like doing a walkthrough behind the scenes is that she often has one of her cats with her, and the cat that was taken on that part of the tour is Olivia Benson.
Oh, yeah.
But later on we see her holding Benjamin, her other cat, in a hotel room. So I think maybe she like takes a different cat with her on each leg.
Do you think they like that? I'm not a cat person.
I think these particular cats seem very kind of used to being like constantly held and cuddled, and they're like a huge part of her personality. And I think it's like how people take their animal, like especially in America, like you know how you get on a flight in America and everyone next to you is like got a dog and a cat, and they just come on the plane. And it's just a normal thing. And I think especially for her, because she goes in her private car to her private jet, to her hotel suite, to her hotel. So I think bringing the cat would be a lot easier.
Olivia Benson's life would be so much better than any of ours.
Yeah, well, exactly.
Like,
Those
can you
cats
imagine,
live.
like they've been on more private jets than I won't even see a private jet.
Exactly.
Like,
those cats live a life of luxury, but also they have jobs too as well. Like this Olivia Benson's a working cat, as is Benjamin, because their job is to be held by Taylor Swift to like comfort her as she walks around the stadium about to play to thousands of people.
Does she have one of those cute backpacks that has like the
I think so. Yeah, I actually have.
cat one?
I can't remember which documentary it was, but I have seen her have a cat backpack. Yeah, I think now she's escalated to a carrier, and an assistant would carry it, but it's still there. So
I wonder if the assistant is just for Olivia Benson.
I think if you're traveling, you would definitely have someone who's like on the cat.
The cat
duty.
Assistant, yeah.
Yes, that's definitely someone's job.
Great,
and to be honest, it doesn't sound that fun. There's also a scene where at 14 seconds, I believe it is, into the documentary trailer where you can see her kissing Travis Kelce, and she's wearing one of her Midnight's outfits from that section of the Eras tour. And everyone was kind of interested in like what part of their relationship, because they were together for I think over a year of her doing the Eras tour, and he went to a lot of different shows. And everyone was trying to figure out what part of their relationship was this kiss happening. Was it early days of dating? Was it after he had been on stage with her? And it's actually from the final show that he saw of the Eras tour in Indianapolis, because he's wearing the black baseball cap and outfit that he wore to the Indianapolis show, which is their last one.
Laura, that is excellent detective work.
That is so important.
I am giving you 10 out of 10 for that one.
So they're like deep in it
Wait,
at that
so
stage.
did you look at that and then cross-reference it?
I did.
You are amazing, Laura.
I did. I just thought that was some...
Can I just, Spillers, we need to take a moment and appreciate Laura's dedication to the craft of getting the exact date that this was happening.
I mean,
Amazing.
don't celebrate too much. I feel like my mother would be super disappointed that my journalism degree and my 10 years of being a police reporter have now come down to this. But it's all in the details, and no matter what story you're doing.
This is why people love the show, Laura, because
so that is their like where they were in their relationships. They were pretty much on the road to engagement at that stage, and we see a few different moments of Travis Kelce in the documentary. We see him rehearsing to be on stage with her. You know how he came out with her on stage in the coat and
he picks
tails,
her up.
and he picks her up. So you see them rehearsing the pickup scene. You also see a bit of his family, like, and her family together, like celebrating. So it's a very kind of also showing a lot of their relationship, which is kind of interesting because a lot of the criticism of the album, The Life of a Showgirl, was that people thought it was going to be like a real showgirl album. And then it was more kind of quieter songs about her wanting to get married and have kids and how she deals with fame and friendship breakups. And I think the thread of that is that she always said, like, it's not so much an album about being a showgirl. It's about what was going on in my life when I was being a showgirl on stage and making this album.
I think that makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's what this documentary is. It's all like the little moments happening behind the scenes. one of the most important moments happened when we saw what happened at the end of the tour, because that's what I've always been really interested in, is that we know she goes out and does this whole huge 3-hour show and that she's on stage pretty much the whole time except for when she goes under the stage and does the quick change and then pops out again. And we also know that most of the time she runs straight from the stage into a car that's waiting. And I always wondered what she did after that.
Yes.
Like I don't know, she kind of hinted it out on the New Heights podcast that she's really riled up and she has to take a bath and she has to order room service. You know how some hotels do like only the late night snacking room service menu at the end of the night? There's only like 3 shitty things available.
Like
I'm sure for her they keep they keep the kitchen open. She can have a full menu.
I mean, sometimes I think about when, if you've got a really big day of work or if you're doing a ton of interviews, I know for me, if I've had a really big red carpet or something and you finish that, you've got so much adrenaline that it's actually really hard to wind down. So if you can imagine like timesing that by 1,000,000 and doing a 3-hour show, you'd be so like wired.
Oh, 100%. And this is what, again, sometimes I relate to Taylor Swift on a really weird way because yes, a lot of our job is like these huge glam events at night with red carpets or big interviews. And when I get home, usually around like midnight or 1 a.m., like the sensible thing I know, because I have to start work at like 7 a.m. the next day, the sensible thing I know would be to go straight to bed. But you're so wired and so awake that it takes me a couple of hours to like have a relaxing shower, take your makeup off, do your skincare, watch an episode of something, listen to some music, wind down. So she's the same. And we have some scenes of her in her hotel room after the show. And you can see her just like using a makeup wipe, pulling her fake eyelashes off. She says she does a bunch of signing at that time, I guess because she's like really awake and wired.
Yeah, I was interested to see that. She said that she was signing like 1,000 CDs or something.
Yeah.
Like that is wild.
I guess you're never really off the clock. And then she also talks about taking this relaxing bath and she takes the camera crew into her bathroom and they do like a little pan around. And if you freeze on the bathroom products that she's got stacked up on the side of her bath, you can see the stuff that she's using. So
what is she using?
I know, this is again because she doesn't do like a lot of spawn stuff, but I guess she probably wasn't going to be like, I'm going to turn the bottles around or anything like that.
Who's got time for that?
Yeah, exactly. I feel like the stage, if you're trying to show behind the scenes, and it's not that juicy, but if anyone wants to know what Taylor Swift uses in her personalized bath products, Tata Harper Skincare Rejuvenating Cleanser for $88. Still not too bad. Again, she's a billionaire,
that's pretty pricey for a cleanser.
Yeah. Not if you're Taylor Swift, but if any of the gals out there want to know what she's using. When I saw that she had her shampoo and conditioner propped up there, I zoomed in on that like a crazy person because she has a fringe and I do too, and there's a lot of work involved in that. I know she has hair pieces in, like every celebrity does. She has a lot of hair pieces in. You can see when she was doing the press rounds for The Life of a Showgirl, like she went to dinner in New York and she had like a very kind of thin, just past her shoulders, straight head look going on. And the next night doing the late night show, she had like super, super long, ashier, very voluminous hair. So like it's excellent hair piece work. But I think her natural hair is still like, for what it goes through, like still quite good. So I was zooming in on what she uses. So she uses the Christoph Robin volumizing shampoo and conditioner with rose extract. This shampoo is $51. And I was like, do I get that?
It's really nice. I've actually used that brand before. It's really good.
Okay.
It's really, really good.
I feel like these people should send us some for giving them a shout out. Although Taylor Swift already gave them a shout out. So they're like, we actually don't need you. Thank you so much.
I will say the one thing I was very disappointed because I am a beauty girly and I love it. I hate that she was using a makeup wipe to remove her makeup.
I did think about that.
I hate it.
But the thing is, she's got
that.
makeup like out to here.
No, but like she needed an oil cleanser and then she needs a foam cleanser and she's got to do the double cleanse. The makeup wipe is like a sin. She's going to strip her beautiful skin.
I know, but she's got that level of show makeup. Like no cleanser's really going to. She's got to do about 60
she needs the
layers.
Oil.
Well, this is what I'm saying.
Now we're turning into the You Beauty podcast.
This is what I'm saying. At the end of the day, at the end of the day, she's just a gal in a hotel room being like, I'm using a cleansing wipe. I don't care. And the last thing sitting on her bathroom next to her little shower setup was just an ordinary razor. So I'm guessing she
A
just does a
disposable
little.
one?
I don't think it was a complete disposable one. Yeah, kind of.
Like those single-use ones?
Yeah.
Oh, I hate those.
Maybe she just needed to do a little leg touch-up before she goes
Maybe
on
she
stage.
forgot. She forgot.
Yeah, an emergency. She did once say on the Ellen DeGeneres show when she was asked if she ever washed her legs. You know how that was a thing? People
Oh,
were like,
yeah.
That was a thing. You say, like, do you wash your legs in the shower? And she was like, well, when I shave my legs, I soap them up. Does that count? So I guess she's still doing the old...
The quick one,
The cold, but like quick in the bath leg shave. So at the end of the day, Taylor Swift, just a gal like us. So they're all the little hidden details, scandalous as they are.
I loved, this is like my favourite thing ever. I loved this segment. This is so good. I feel like I learned a lot and I'm very impressed with your skills.
That's only from a 3-minute trailer. So yes, looking forward to December when the Eras Tour documentary comes out. I've got to say, out of all the Taylor Swift releases, this is the one I'm most excited for.
Taylor, please can you just invest in a double cleanser? Thank you. Bye.
So back in July of this year, we had a lot of reports and then a lot of photos and then a lot of video of superstar Katy Perry and former Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau hanging out. And a lot of people speculated if they'd been friends for a long time. They were both newly-ish single at the time where they were having a hot and heavy romance. And we kind of deduced from the photos that they had at least one very intensive date day.
So yeah, back in July, they were going out for dinner in Montreal. They were spotted, walking together, very public places. They were not trying to hide this. But it kind of didn't really hit the news cycle until till now, really.
Yeah, I guess because it just it felt, at least to the public eye, that it was kind of just a quick kind of one date day and then it fizzled a little bit. So we had this documentation because they were out and about. They weren't trying to hide it. They went for a really long walk with her dog. They went to a bar late at night for a nightcap and they went to a dinner where there were so many photos and videos of them. They weren't hiding in the restaurant. They were being quite lovey-dovey. The chef came over to personally greet them. They had all of these cocktails. They had lobster. They had all of the, it looked like a lovely dinner. And then Justin picked up the tab afterwards and they left together. So we had that moment, but we didn't have, from the very extensive photos that came out of them in the park walking together, heading into the bar and the whole dinner at the restaurant, they looked lovey-dovey, but we didn't have any actual kissing action or anything like that. So it was kind of thought are they just really touchy-feely friends? Is it just you have one date and that's kind of it? Until all these new photos of them on her yacht in Santa Barbara have come out.
Yes, and there is no mistaking that there is a lot of PDA going on. They're very, very snuggly. They're hugging each other. They're kissing. They look pretty loved up. Justin Trudeau, he's a political figure. He's the former prime minister. His ex-wife, Sophie Gregoire Trudeau, and him divorced after 18 years together back in 2023. Now, I kind of did a little bit of deep dive on this because I didn't really know much about their divorce because obviously he's the Canadian prime minister. We don't get that much on him here in our day-to-day. Now, apparently the relationship deteriorated after 18 years because of Justin's workload, which I think makes sense. There were also some reports that he cheated on her. Neither of them have come out publicly and said anything negative. She's got the most incredible Instagram. She's a wellness and life coach now. The other day she posted on her Instagram a reel, and the reel was talking about letting go of people that you love. Now, effectively that the phrase of if you love something, you have to let it go. If it comes back, then it's meant to be, blah, blah, blah. Now, what she said, nothing we love is meant to be kept forever. People, places, moments, they're all meant to be lived, not possessed. And a lot of people are sort of connecting that as a cryptic way of referring to her relationship with Justin, that she had to let this love of her life go.
Yes, that's super interesting. And I think it actually kind of leads to this idea of why Justin and Katy are allowing themselves to be photographed in certain ways. Because the thing about the thing about all the photos of them is that they are all pap pictures. They haven't posed for any pictures. They haven't posted any photos, but they have gone to some very public places and they're sort of showing this very romantic side of their relationship, which I think when you're that famous, especially when you're Katy Perry famous, and she's had her love life so publicly dissected for so many years, and she's just broken up with Orlando Bloom, and there was so much speculation around their relationship. And even Justin Trudeau and Sophie, when he was the Canadian Prime Minister, he did have a lot of worldwide fame because he was young, he was hot. Yeah. He would get up and make these really charismatic speeches that would be shared over social media. Videos of him and Sophie together would kind kind of circulate because they were kind of like, it was almost like they were like the first, like the president and first lady of like an old school kind of TV movie or something like that.
Yeah, it was very JFK, you know. He was handsome. Well, he is handsome. But yeah, he's 53, she's 50. They were a gorgeous couple, quite popular. I think his popularity kind of decreased a little bit in the later years. But yeah, he was very popular, particularly, you know, the ladies.
Yeah, so I think when they were both kind of like their first relationship, their first very public relationship after their breakups, there was a lot of kind of, I'm assuming in their camps, like a lot of speculation around how they roll it out. So after they had that full day in like Canada having this very romantic moment, we didn't see them again. I'm sure they were together, but they were letting the kind of world assume they had fizzled out. And then these photos on the yacht, it's kind of hard because it is obviously paparazzi have taken these photos with like a very, very long lens. Some of them are so blurry, like the ones on the lower deck. And the ones on there's ones of Katy and Justin standing on the top level of the yacht, and they're the ones that have kind of gone viral because the paparazzi have just been able to get such a clear shot, which they can always do when celebrities are on yachts. Like it's a lot harder to police than if they're like in a private residence or a building. And you can see Justin kind of like cradling Katy. You can see him like his like hands on her lower back and her like gazing at him adoringly. And I'm sure they would have known that there are paparazzi especially off the coast in Santa Barbara, which is a very kind of celeb-heavy spot. They would know that there are paparazzi around there, but it seems like they were kind of happy for that to be like the next reveal of their relationship, because we do know that celebrities, like if they want to keep their relationship a secret, they can.
Very much so.
It's so, so rare that a celebrity would be sprung by the paparazzi in this day and age. It's like
particularly in California where it's like celeb central. Like
exactly.
It's not like it's some random spot. They know there are paps everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think Katy Perry's at the level where she did it for the paps or she organised them to be there or anything like that. If she had organised for them to be there, they would have been a lot more curated, like the Sutton Foster Hugh Jackman announcement photos when they're walking and there's that beautiful light and they're smiling and you can see that they're not upset by the photographer and you can tell the photographer's really close, not using a long lens. Like those were set up shots and they were so different to the ones that were taken of Sutton Foster later on where you can see that they are long lens. I think it was more so with Katy and Justin that they knew that that was an area that paparazzi would be in, but they were happy to have their photo taken as a way of kind of like almost like soft launching their relationship.
Yeah. The thing that I got though from Sophie's post about that, there was a couple, I was looking at some of the comments and they were like, how could he do this to you, blah, blah, blah. That's not the sense that I got from the post. I feel like it's been 2 years since their relationship ended. From all reports, they're still co-parenting. They've got 3 kids together, 17, 16 and 11. They've never said anything negative about each other. Like it's been 2 years. I think it's okay for them to move on.
Yeah,
you know?
well, I think that there was just because they're both out of relationships and they've both got kids and they're Soho profile, if they were launched in a different way, Katy and Justin, like there could be a bit of public kind of animosity towards them. With Katy especially, because the way that breakup happened, a lot of the kind of headlines and fan speculation were kind of pointing towards the fact that Orlando Bloom had broken up with her. And it came off the fact that she'd had a bit of a rough year with her new album not being received as well as she thought it would. Her concert ended up selling really well, but there were like negative reviews for the start, even though like people who actually went to it said it was great. There was a whole space debacle. There was all these other bits and pieces where she was kind of having a difficult time in the public eye. And then the news came that she and Orlando had broken up after like nearly a decade together and having a daughter and all these things. And then he was sort of seen partying in Italy with their friends. And he had previously flown to Australia to visit her on the leg of her tour here. So the idea people were kind of putting out was that he was like embarrassed by her or like he had had enough and he broke up with her and then he went off kind of on this big adventure and he kept getting spotted with all these like, remember how people thought he and Sydney Sweeney were dating for a while? It was this whole thing. So it was like she was seen to lose the breakup, even though I'm sure that's absolutely not what happened.
Well, it definitely doesn't feel like that now. Like it feels like Katy is definitely winning now. I mean, although, do you think he's a catch? Is Justin Trudeau like a catch? Is he giving JFK vibes?
I think the two of them have come out of this really well because all we know about them is that they go on beautiful long walks, have lobster together, have like fancy cocktails, and then passionately make out on yachts when he's like cradling her. So I think they've come out of this looking really good and people are like on board with their relationship.
Yeah, I'm on board.
And a few people have said like, oh, what about the age difference? friends because she's 40 and he's 53.
I mean,
I'm less stressed about it when people are 40 and 50. Like, everyone's an adult then.
Yeah.
It'd be worse if it was like a 40 or a 20-year-old.
Yeah, that doesn't bother me. The 53 and the 40 doesn't.
Yeah, you guys are good.
That's an issue.
Yeah.
He does actually he's got the same vibe as Orlando.
Oh, do you think?
Dark.
Yeah.
Dark and handsome kind of thing.
Like, he'd want to read a book at night instead of watch a trashy TV show. That's the vibe I get.
Yeah, I could never
Slightly outdoorsy, but kind of weedy.
A politician. I mean, he's he's a retired politician now, I guess. But
he's got nothing but time to go on tour with her and hang out with her and stuff. And maybe that also is what she needs, because she's on this huge, like, big next phase of her career. And maybe she needs someone who's just going to come along for the ride, who's already done his, like, big career move and is just looking to hang out.
It just reminds me of the Carrie Bradshaw, when Carrie was dating that politician, and, like, he got all embarrassed of her, and then she just, like, reveals that he likes her to pee on him.
Yeah, a classic
Great episode.
And also, that's the one relationship Sarah Jessica Parker said, if and just like that was going to continue, she would have John Slattery back to redo that. I think it would be a hugely different story if Justin Trudeau was, like, still running to be a politician at the moment or campaigning. But because he's done with that, he can kind of date whoever he wants now. Yeah, it's not going to affect him.
He's clearly off leash now, and he's allowed to do what he wants.
Yeah. So we did look at the paparazzi photos. We are a bit trash. We won't post them. But yeah, I'm kind of interesting to see where they make their next public debut, because as we were saying, they're being very calculated about it. And I think it's a bit strategic in the way they're doing it to kind of get the public on their side, which you have to do when you're that famous. Because as we know, celebrities, if they don't want to be seen, there's private entrances, there's areas you can go. We saw it recently in the Victoria Beckham documentary, where she and her documentary crew are stumbling through little back doors, through kitchens, through, like, waiting areas. And she's saying to the camera crew, I'm so sorry, we have to come this very unelegant way, but there's paparazzi outside. And so she knows how to get dropped underground, go through the kitchen, go out through the kitchen, and you can go to as we know, Kylie Jenner, the only reason we know that she's in every city Timothée Chalamet is by tracking her private jet. But she goes to cities for weeks, and she goes out to dinners and she goes to events, and you just never see her.
Yeah, there's something about a goods lift sees more celebrity action than an actual lift.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, kitchens in Paris and New York and all those backdoor entrances and underground parking, they're the real hotspots if you're a celebrity. So interested to see what these two crazy kids do next.
Definitely here for this relationship. I like it.